Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar From Frustration to ROI, getting more from your Yelp ads with insider strategies from me, a 10-year Yelp veteran. All right. So, first questions first. Who the heck am I and why should you be listening to me? Both are very good questions. So, up until last year, I actually worked at Yelp for 10 years. When I first started there, it was a full service contract program where you had to sign on for 3, 6, or 12 months at thousands of dollars per month. And I've worked with thousands of businesses, including advertisers, now for those years. Pretty much every vertical you could imagine that's on Yelp, I have done it, from Hollywood prop rentals to, top restaurants and plumbers, electricians, everything in between. Even trash bin pickup and recycling help. So I've seen pretty much everything that Yelp has to offer. And that includes what drives performance as well as what quietly kills it. And really, that's what happened with me, you know, creating Young Cow with my partner, Parker. We both worked at Yelp, loved the mission there, how we were helping great local businesses and people find them in the local area. And that's really what we're here to do. We get our foot in the door by helping these businesses increase their return on investment without spending more on their Yelp ads. We've got a proven record doing so. And really what this webinar hopes to do is give you some of the available tricks and tips that we're willing to share. Also provide some clarity into how Yelp operates, just so people can, get some more, especially these good business owners that really want some direction, but aren't really always able to get it from Yelp, just based off what, is able to be there. Fun side note with this photo here. This is actually from many years ago, back in our Phoenix office before I even had my two lovely kids now. This was an award called the Chopping Axe Award that I won, and just thought it would be a fun little, thing to throw in there from my time at Yelp. All right. So why this webinar is important, why you are here. Ultimately, there's this misconception, and has been for a very long time, that people just don't use Yelp, and it is quite the contrary. In fact, Yelp still sees an average of 73 million monthly users visiting its site. Now, don't get me wrong. Somebody that lives in a more, beautiful rural town, and let's say, Idaho, Montana, even out here in California, where there's maybe only a few plumbers, or, I live nearby a city where there's really only 3 restaurants in the city. It's called Winchester. It's only got 3 restaurants. So, like, people don't need to use Yelp to look for food there or for things, because they already have places to go. But these major cities across the US, Memphis, LA, Tampa, Orlando, Houston, you name it, Chicago, all of these places have so many opportunities, so many new businesses opening up all the time, and people moving in, moving out, that there's actually a lot of traffic in those areas. And people underuse Yelp because of that. They think you can just set it, forget it, when really there's ways to actually maximize your campaigns, read the metrics that are coming back, and much like this graph to the right, have your leads shoot up and to the right where you want it to go. And so that's really what we're here to do. Give you some of the small tweaks that are available to you that'll lead to big increases in these leads, at least on the front end and whatnot. All right, so let's hop into it. So, real quickly, before we get into the ad bidding system and how the ads actually work, real quick rundown on how Yelp natural searches work. So, a lot of people think when they're thinking about online sites in general, including Yelp, it's all about rankings, who has the most reviews, who has the highest number of reviews. A lot of places that is true. Now, what I love about Yelp and what Parker, my partner, loves about Yelp as well is that isn't the case. So for Yelp, for their natural searches, they focus on two really main things. There's a bunch of factors in there, but two really big things: relevance and proximity. Are you relevant to what the person's looking for? And how close are you? So you'll often notice when you're doing a search in Yelp, or if you haven't done one, I'd encourage you to do one again sometime soon. You'll notice that Yelp actually promotes all businesses that are nearby. In fact, if you were to do a search for maybe, Chinese food or a restaurant nearby, something that you're interested in, you might actually see 3-star businesses towards the top of the searches, or businesses with very few reviews compared to businesses that have hundreds of reviews or maybe 5-star ratings, even lower. Reason being is you're more likely even closer to that particular place, or it's just more relevant. Maybe one place is a better place for sandwiches than the 5-star restaurant, because maybe that's a better place for burgers and steaks, things like that. So Yelp is constantly looking at all the different search terms, where users are going, and kind of cycling through that, because biggest thing to understand from this with the searches is Yelp ultimately views the users as its main consumer. They don't pay Yelp, the businesses that advertise do, but they are the lifeblood on Yelp. The way that they view it, and kind of understandably so, if the users go away, if people stop finding businesses on Yelp, searching on Yelp, spending money with the businesses they find on Yelp, they don't exist. So a lot of their signals, a lot of their stuff is set up around user satisfaction, user engagement. And if you can, as a business owner, can wrap your head around that and cater your page towards users engaging more with it, users checking it out more, you'll see a lot of success with that. And again, this also helps make sure that if somebody's looking for a vet in the area, much like with the phone book, they're not going to pull up a regular doctor's office, because that's just not quite relevant. And that's where the relevance comes in as well. And so, with that in mind, for how the ads actually work, similarly put, they're looking for relevance with that. Now, proximity goes a bit out the door, because with the ads, you're trying to get in searches where you actually wouldn't have been nearby. So a lot of times the ads are focused on searches where you wouldn't appear on that first page, giving you opportunities to get leads where you wouldn't have gotten before. Now, the way that works is an auto bidding system for every business based off of search term. Now, what that means is your top competitor can't just come in and be like, hey, you know what? I'm willing to spend $50 to $100 a lead, and I'm just going to outspend everybody, so all the good leads are coming to me. No. Mm-mm. It's going off of search terms. So if somebody is looking to, buy a tuxedo, or they are looking for a water heater repair, Yelp goes off of the search terms, and they have, a rough pricing model for how much somebody will make off of a sale of that product or service. And they're merely charging a very small percentage of what that job cost would be. That way, when you win the job, it ends up being worth it. But again, you're not ending up overbidding for something, unless, don't get me wrong, maybe you're an attorney or you're making thousands of dollars and whatnot. So for someone like you, yeah, you might have a much higher cost per click like $50 to $100. I've even seen attorneys with $300. But important thing to understand is they're converting one out of every 2 to 3 leads that they're getting. So they're making tens of thousands of dollars off of a couple $100 spent. So it's all about understanding the return and the ratio and whatnot. And for the rankings in that with the ads, it's rotational. So Yelp is constantly rotating who's in what spots, whether they're on the searches, competitor pages, wherever it may be. This gives all advertisers fair opportunities to win business. Even if you're a brand new business with no reviews, you have an opportunity to end up on that first page in the very top spot above the search results in the ads, just because you're advertising and whatnot, which is really awesome and not really always possible elsewhere. So for a lot of that, they have budget pacing controls as well. That helps make sure that you're not roughly overspending, but it is very critical to know that it doesn't mean that you're going to spend that every day. Yelp might show a few of your ads on a day and you might not get any clicks, and therefore you didn't spend any dollars on that. And to make up for that, another day you might spend over your clicks, normal average, because of that. But the budget actually determines how much you're shown over the day. So let's say you have a budget that tells you it's going to get you roughly 30 clicks in the month. You should be expecting about a click per day. If you're looking for more than that, if you need more opportunities, you need to spend a higher budget. And that's the really important thing with the budget. You're not buying impressions, you're buying high quality clicks on Yelp. And so all of this together means that small improvements to how your page is set up, how your ads are run, can make a much larger reach for your business, all at the same budget. All right. So Yelp is high intent traffic, but here's the truth about that. A lot of advertisers think high intent means high spend. Do not get me wrong. There are plenty of people that spend tons and tons and tons of money on Yelp. I'm talking about like thousands of dollars a month at times. There's even people that find their real estate agents to sell their houses on Yelp. So, you know, they're making lots of money off of those transactions. But high intent means that these people are looking to purchase from a business that they find on Yelp. And to that point, most people, when they're coming to Yelp, because it's a business directory, much like the phone book, they don't actually know the name of the business they're looking for. They're usually looking for general terms: HVAC repair, dinner near me, prom tuxedo, whatever it may be. They know that they need this, and they know that they need to spend the money. That's why you'll also see that Yelp's age demographics, the majority of the people that use Yelp are over the age of 40. I'm talking like over 60% of Yelp's user base is over the age of 40, because they need something, they just don't know where to go. But once they come to Yelp and they find a business, 8 out of 10 times, they are buying from the business that they found on Yelp, one of them. Now, to be clear, typically people will check out about 2 to 4 businesses, maybe call a few of them, and then pick one of those to go through. But they're not passively browsing at all. They are looking to make a purchase. And where the reviews come in is as little snippets. As people are searching through Yelp, much like the phone book, instead of just having name and number, because it's all digital now, Yelp's able to really allow you to represent yourself better. And so they can see snippets of reviews and, what people like about you before they click over. All right. Now, as far as the signals that can really help boost your profile, there's a few things that Yelp is really looking at. How complete is your profile? Are you filling out everything? Your accurate hours? Are you answering calls if you're saying you're 24 hours? Are you answering at 1 o'clock in the morning? Are your categories correct? Are you a are you a vet that accidentally has, family medicine listed on yours? I've seen it before. I know it sounds crazy, but, because if so, if people are going to find you and bounce right away, Yelp's going to stop promoting you. Also, as well, photos with captions. It's important to have those captions because as people interact with you, the longer people are on your page, not only are they more likely to reach out to you because they're invested, usually on Yelp, they see if you can get somebody to last at least 3 to 5 minutes on your page, there's a high probability that that person is going to be reaching out to you about service or coming in for product, whatever it may be, because they're bought in. They're like, ooh, I've been looking at this for a few minutes. let me give them a shot. So captions are meant to detail and also act as search engine help on Yelp. So you can talk about beautiful handmade pasta that you have as your nightly special dish, or you can show off your new fall collection, or you can talk about your service tech who has 20 years of experience that you're very proud of having on board. All those things really help. And then again, making sure your service details, are you under the right services offered, and business information, is that filled out? And then again, from there, it's all about the user metrics. So by having all of this complete, not only is Yelp promoting you more, but when you're being found, Yelp is seeing good metrics because people are staying on you because they're finding you for the right reasons, what you're offering, like a luxury jeweler, people finding luxury quality photos on there. They're going to stay on there longer. So Yelp will boost you more for those keywords in those areas. And it just becomes cyclical. It's one thing feeding the other. But again, it acts negatively as well. So if you're not having those, it really hurts. And those better matches, because Yelp isn't having to struggle to deliver your ads or get clicks to your profile as much, it results in a naturally lower cost per click, which means you get many more leads for the same exact spend. For example, let's take a client that we recently helped bring down their cost per click from $29 to $20, just over $20. So even if you just take a $5 increase or decrease in that, at spending over $5,000, they're getting 100 extra leads a month for the same spend. So you can imagine how much further those ad dollars are going to bringing in an even higher return on investment. All right. Now, reviews on Yelp. Probably the number one call and most frustrating thing about Yelp is how they operate their review system and how opaque they are about it. They don't share much about it. It is a very closely guarded secret. Even to us reps that are on the inside, we learn a lot of things about it, but we're never actually given the exact weights or user metrics that the system is looking for. And they do that on purpose. They don't want this to be abused and used, because ultimately, over 85% of the time, Yelp captures fake reviews. Now, don't get me wrong, that does mean that real reviews got caught in the system as well, because Yelp doesn't know enough about the user. But here's the important thing to know, and why you should focus on, operating the business. Yelp is constantly learning more about the users who are leaving reviews on their site. And at any time, if somebody meets the qualifications, reviews get bumped up. When I was working at Yelp, we would see hundreds, if not thousands, of examples each month of previously not recommended reviews now meeting the qualifications because the user did their job and got to know Yelp better, and Yelp got to know them. But it was all out of the business owner's hands. They couldn't do anything about it, whether they fretted or not. So better to focus on the good work, because for the ones that aren't fretting about it, they're more focused on continuing to provide that good quality service, product, experience as people come in, which actually just leads to more natural reviews on Yelp, especially as they're advertising themselves, because when you're advertising, you're driving Yelp users towards your page. And Yelp also has their own system, an additional one, where they will follow up with Yelp users that they see finding businesses that they know about, and they'll ask them for reviews. It happens all the time. It can be quite annoying to people that are on Yelp because they're always asking for their feedback, but it's much easier to tell Yelp no and get more natural feedback when they do say yes. So the things that you can focus on that users are caring about is the quality of reviews, because users would care more about the quality than the quantity. I've seen businesses with under 10 reviews do better than businesses with over 200 reviews, because ultimately the quality of the reviews were enough. Likewise, the recency of reviews. So if your last bad review was from 5 years ago, you know what that tells me as a user? Tells me that nobody's had anything bad to say about you in the last 5 years. That's pretty good. It means you're running a good operation. Likewise, if you're a good business and you haven't had any reviews in the last few years, that isn't a bad sign. As long as people know that you're open, like, they don't care. That just means in their mind, hey, nobody else had anything to add to this. This business is doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, which is great. And then as far as start trends go, people are looking at, hey, is this somebody that maybe started off with a bad reputation at first and now they've worked their way up? Or are they maybe going downhill and going the other way? Likewise, with those trends, funny enough, my wife and I, our favorite Chinese restaurant in Scottsdale, Arizona, is usually between 3.5 stars. The reason being is that it's Arizona, and the majority of their bad reviews are for fish dishes. I mean, like lobster, crab, any seafood style dish. There's no fresh fish anywhere near Arizona like that. So, of course, they're not going to be the freshest thing, but they're a quick fast food Chinese food, so they're not meant to be. But all of their great reviews are about things like their dumplings, their noodles, their, kung pao, their rice. Guess what we love? All of that sort of stuff. So, even though it's a 3.5 star for some things, what we like and what we need from them is all ranked usually 4 and 5 stars. So things like that, users are smart enough to make distinctions between, somebody that might not be the greatest, painter, but does a really good job fixing drywall and repairing water leaks and whatnot. So really important to lean into your strengths and whatnot. And likewise, for any reviews that you do get, if they are negative, well, if they are positive, let's start with that. Very important not to just write a generic thank you for somebody. Add on to what they're saying. If somebody talks about how your texts are always on time, or somebody talks about the freshness of your pasta, sorry, two completely different examples, but lean into that. So for the text, you would be like, oh yeah, we always pride ourselves in making sure that we're on time, there to help you within the window. Or, hey, yeah, we take the time to make our pasta fresh every single day. Thank you for noticing that. Means a lot when somebody can taste the difference. It really drives home the message of what you're trying to do at your business and why people should continue to choose you if they're looking for that type of experience. All right. And so you also, if you have negative reviews, do not get angry. Do not try to start a fight on Yelp. Leave a nice general response. You don't even need to accept responsibility. Hey, we're sorry to hear you had that experience. We like to make sure that all of our clients have, a great experience with us and leave satisfied. Really hurts me to hear that this was how you felt how things went down in your mind or went down for you. Please give me a call directly and chat with me. And then you can also send a direct message to that user to learn more about their experience. The reason why this is so important for negative reviews is time and time again, we see that users will update their review and add stars to their rating, which benefits you. They can even switch their 1 star all the way up to 5 star, literally like thousands of examples where I've seen somebody offer good service and it went from 1 to 4 or 5 stars and drastically changed, where that business was at the beginning of their experience, and it just looks good as well because people will talk about that. Likewise, they can leave you another 1-star review, but it doesn't count against your rating. The lowest they can get is 1-star review against you. But obviously, if you have any questions, we can always answer that here at Young Cow for you. So you want to learn to read these reports like us, pros. I don't have enough time to cover everything here. So we're going to focus on the main numbers that matter for you to read this like an insider. So the real things you want to look at on Yelp, first of all, your impressions to page visits. This is your click-through rate. Very important, because if you are being shown a lot and not many people are clicking on you, it means that something's wrong with your profile. So you're not targeting people right, you're not showing stuff right, you're not complete. Something is wrong there. So likewise, if you have a very high impressions to page visits, that's great. You need to see those converting. So your clicks or ad clicks to conversion rate is going to be the next big one for you. What is happening when these people click on you? Are you getting 100 clicks but no leads? Or are you getting 100 clicks and 60, 70 leads? Very important to know your numbers and always try to be improving those. Now, obviously, you want to also keep track of where you're breaking down all this stuff. So how are these things coming in? For example, this here is a home service business on the left-hand side that you're seeing their traffic from. Obviously, we've hidden name for anonymity, but one of the things that you'll notice is they don't have any direction or map click visits, and we don't want that. If you're a service business and you're seeing that, something is wrong. People should not be clicking to map directions to you. You're coming out to them. Where you are doesn't matter. Yelp is the local business directory. They're not showing somebody in Chicago a plumber who's in California. No, they're only showing somebody in Chicago and the surrounding suburbs of Chicago. So very important to understand that. And what you can do if you have a partner like us that's a Yelp partner at Young Cow Media, you can have advanced tracking. So keyword relevance are the keywords that you're actually showing for getting clicked on. And are you showing for the right keywords, or are there hidden ones you didn't know about? And as far as call tracking time, how long are these calls lasting for? Are you getting good quality calls from Yelp, or people calling and spending less than a minute with you because they realize you're not a good fit? And that's the thing that Yelp reps don't usually always explain. Not all of these clicks are equal. Because of keyword mismatch, if people are just clicking on you, more clicks is not good on Yelp. You want quality clicks, because quantity just means that you're wasting budget. You can get quantity with quality, and we'll talk about that later. But the whole purpose of this is to hone in on your cost per click, get that zeroed in on a good level, and then raise your budget so you're getting more leads at an appropriate rate. And here's the thing also, they don't really explain that your category and your profile quality affect how easy it is for Yelp to deliver these ads, and thusly your cost per click. Don't get me wrong, the auto bidding system keeps everything relative, but if you could be paying $15 for a cost per click instead of 17, wouldn't you rather be doing that just by filling it out? And that's where this comes in. So here's the red flags that you need to be looking for that can kill your ROI specifically on Yelp. Again, if you're getting high clicks and low leads, that is a very bad sign. Getting messages, calls for unrelated services means that you're targeting those services and appearing in those searches. That's how they're finding you. So that has to change. If your campaign isn't fulfilling the budget, that is a big no-no too. You might be limiting yourself too small of a target area on Yelp. You might be not having enough keywords being promoted. Or you might be having too many where you're being shown in areas where you shouldn't be shown. So ultimately, if that's not fulfilling, something is wrong and you need to take a look at that. Also, do you have outdated photos? So let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with keeping old photos on Yelp. In fact, it is highly encouraged practice to keep photos instead of deleting them so that way people can see over time transitions and changes in your business. Yelp timestamps everything regardless of who uploads it. So nobody's going to confuse a menu from 2009 with your menu photo from 2025. But you need to have updated photos for new things like renovations, new projects, stuff like that. And also make sure that you have captions on there because captions tell people what things are. Not everybody knows what everything is. You know, somebody might skip over a dish that they actually would have been really interested in, or might pass over that water heater photo because they didn't realize that that's what a tankless water heater looks like these days because they're pretty small. So those things really help not just the user, but Yelp deliver your ads there. And also having a weak call to action set up. So important to remember once somebody is on your Yelp page, they're already committed to you. They like what they're seeing. That's why they clicked over to your Yelp page versus everybody else. So if you just simply have a call to the action that says, oh, yeah, give us a call, and then you just, send them somewhere like a website, you're shooting yourself in the foot. They're already there. If you're going to say, give us a call, have them have the give us a call button. There's a click to call button there that you can choose that calls. Or if you're promoting your online booking, have it linked directly to your online booking. So that way they can go ahead and do that. You're able to do that with the call to action versus the regular website link. And also an incomplete profile. This is a big red flag. I don't care if it's half the profile missing or, all of it. Big no. At the end of the day, this is your book. If you have unwritten pages, or heck, if you're paying for ads and you have unused sections that you're paying for, you're literally just throwing your money over the fire and making it harder on yourself as well to produce. And for those that do have advanced tracking like we do as partners here, those are relevant search terms as well. So, for example, one of our clients out here in LA, we found out once we switched them over that they were showing for a term that was also the name of a restaurant nearby that was similar to services they offer. Now, thankfully, nobody had been clicking on that, at least for that month that we had them. But if they're showing during those times, that's taking away ad placements from other sections where they could be promoting themselves and actually getting real leads. So if you see at least two of these or a really incomplete profile, campaign really needs to be restructured. And if you need help with that, again, that's where experts like us here at Young Cow come in handy. So the thing with Yelp, the one real downfall with Yelp and why a lot of times business owners don't realize how well it's performing or how can it be performing is they more track engagements on their site, not true conversions. So they're targeting things like, clicks to your website, clicks to call, messages to you, but they don't actually track how many of those turned into jobs, how much that turned into. So you need that data in order to really calculate a proper cost per lead on Yelp. A lot of people are surprised sometimes, but they sometimes have a lot better cost per lead than they thought they did because once they call, they're converting. So if they can just get more calls from Yelp, they're going to do really well ultimately. So tools to integrate that we always try to get for everybody, things like Google Analytics, which track website behavior after the Yelp click, are very important. So that way you can have those insights, make sure your campaigns are running well. Call tracking. So, you know, which clicks are producing calls and real calls, and are these calls converting? We actually work with a company called CallRail. Here's a snapshot of one of their call logs. They allow us and our clients to filter where the calls are coming from by source. So specifically here, you're able to see the calls coming in per day from Yelp ads specifically for one of our clients. They're able to get all of these numbers, call these people back, and they even have form fills and other tracking features that you can look into or reach out to us about. And then it's always important to have a CRM in place. That way, you know where these numbers are, the names associated with them, how to contact them, and how much they are closing for. Because again, if you're not properly tracking that stuff, how do you know how much money Yelp is actually bringing in? We're working with a mechanic that once we got everything fixed and sorted with Yelp, he was bringing in over 30K a month as a mechanic on a under $500 budget. So if you don't track these things, you don't know ultimately. But yeah, know your cost per book job, not cost per click. That should be your ultimate goal. And so here's what all winning Yelp accounts have in common. These are the ones that are always winning on Yelp. They have strong photo rich profiles. I mean, not just the photo section, but the slideshow is properly set up. They have connect posts with photos, they have portfolio photos, all that sort of stuff. They're responding fast to messages. Reason being, the faster you respond and better quality, the better the consumer experience. So Yelp's going to keep sending you those because the users are going to have a good experience, even if they don't actually book with you. But that's where we can make some tweaks. And then proper tracking, call tracking for those that do have a partner like us at Yelp. We can actually install UTM codes, which track the direct links from Yelp, and they can go into analytics and other sorts. And then again, making sure that the categories and account service, accurate service list. So not just mentioning that you're a plumber, but all the plumbing services that you want to focus on. That way Yelp knows what to promote you for. And then just making sure you have enough budget to stay present in ads. Because ultimately, once Yelp fills your budget, they stop showing your ads. And this is why their estimator, when you're setting things up for how many clicks you're going to get, is very important. If they tell you you're only going to get 30 clicks in a month, you're only going to expect to get 1 click per day. So if you use up your click in the morning, guess what? You're having to dip into budget from other days or not getting any other clicks that day. So it's important to give yourself enough opportunities to close enough deals and make sure you're making enough revenue. Likewise, somebody that's a restaurant, if you're only making a few dollars off of every single sale, $150 budget really isn't going to go far, because having an extra 150 patrons roughly over the course of the month isn't going to make a big dent in your, bottom line. Heck, same thing for home services. $150, if that's going to get you 10 clicks, one additional client in a month when you're dealing with 100 clients really isn't going to make a big drop. So you have to make sure you're spending enough budget to give you opportunities where you can really see that return on Yelp, and make sure that you're staying present so you're not, running out of clicks early in the month or early in the day. All right, let's go ahead and get on with this live Yelp listing audit. The wonderful random submission, and we had quite a few that came in, is from John S. with Red Cap Plumbing in Tampa, Florida. So, gonna go ahead and pull that up. It does not look like John is with us, but we will be sending out this webinar in email to everybody that signed up. We know a lot of business owners, things come up during the day, so we'll get this out to you. But give me a sec here. We're going to pull up Red Cap Plumbing, Air, and Electric. Now, again, let's not really worry about the reviews here, because for people that are finding them, ultimately, there's still good reviews. So thing here, obviously, they got their logo set up, which is good. They have a call to action for any service or repair. Now, here, instead of book now, I would actually have something like call now. Ultimately, they're on your page. You're promoting a good, solid offer for $50 off any service. Get them to call. They've already showed interest in your page. Very important to get them on the phone, so that way you don't lose them in transition. They have their verified license, which is perfect. They've uploaded that. They've got their highlights from the business. Now, for these, when you are searching on Yelp, Yelp usually shows your first 2 to 3 ultimately. So you're going to want to focus on the ones that are the best for you. So certified professionals is great. However, since this business already has their verified license, I would recommend that this is actually a bit of a double. So if they are really focused on offering commercial services or their payment plans, these would actually be a little bit better, or even the 24/7 availability to boost up. That way we're promoting the 20 years in business, speak Spanish, and then one of these other ones, because this verified listing is already going to do the work of certified professionals for you. So not a bad choice, just repetitive ultimately. So let's get another highlight in there to highlight something else about the business for you. All right. And so let's go through the photos and whatnot. So biggest thing that I see a lot of times with these photos is business owners love to put their logo first and foremost. Problem is Yelp users don't care about that. Ultimately, they need you for a service. So what they more care about is seeing your users, seeing your technicians, not your users, seeing your technicians out on jobs. So good photos would be, a photo like this one, even where they're searching through the bins to find stuff. Or let's find another one, them actually cleaning this cover, again. So things like that are actually showing off your guys doing work are going to be more important, because these business photos are already on your website ultimately, and they don't actually paint the picture for the user of how you can help them. But the other thing I'm noticing is, you notice all the missing captions, so nothing about what these guys are doing right here. What are they offloading? What does that look like? What product is this guy looking for? you know what is everybody doing? What is this fix? So very important that you control the stories, the photos on there, because if you don't, people are going to look at user uploaded photos, which usually are blurry, not the best cropped, not the best light, or even the best captions. So really fixing this would be important. Now, for those that may not have noticed, two things that are really big that are missing here: there's no connect posts. Connect posts kind of act like the social media post. So this is where they could again be promoting the $50 off any service. For for those that are familiar with plumbing, holidays are actually a very big time for plumbers because people are using the toilets a lot more after the holiday feasts and whatnot. So things can get a little more clogged up, backed up. So, talking about stuff like that, talking about leak detection, connect posts are very useful to show your expertise and, again, promote offers to people that are finding you because they've already clicked on your page if they've seen that. So you're really just doing yourself a disservice by not having that stuff on there. So the other thing that's missing is portfolio. So again, the portfolio is a great opportunity for any business with product or services to really show off what you got. Again, if you're a clothing store, you can show off your entire fall collection from 2025 in one of your portfolios. You can also show off, if you're more luxury end, all of your prom gowns that you have. For services, they could show off all of their, let's see here, they do bathtub repairs. They can show off all of their bathtub repairs. They can show off all of their, sewer repairs. Sewer brings in big money. So does water heater and pipe installation. You can have full projects. Now, it's recommended to at least have 2 to 3, but Yelp allows you to actually have several on there. And again, they don't have to be one particular job. There are some projects where somebody, let's say you're doing a bathroom remodel, somebody might be very thorough and do like, hey, this is what the bathroom looked like before, and all the photos through the process to the finale. Or they might just show off a bunch of different bathroom remodels that they've done before and afters all together in one. It's really up to you how you want to do it. One way isn't better than the other. It really comes down to the number of photos that you have. And again, your pride in the project. If you put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, if you're very proud of a project and everything and you've got the photos, go ahead, show that thing off. That is why it's called a portfolio. The same way you would to anybody that would just call you off of your website looking for it. You'd be like, oh yeah, we just got done doing this great bathtub repair and remodel. Look at all these wonderful photos, because that sells. Same thing sells on Yelp. So just don't skip those steps ultimately. But with that in mind, I would want to make sure that these are all the services that RedCap actually wants to get from Yelp. Because again, if you're promoting these, they're going to promote you for that. So if you don't want to be shown for shower installation or, generator repair, don't promote that on Yelp, because you're wasting traffic. You're wasting impressions on that ultimately. So we see that they're open 24 hours here. Now, 24 hours is very tricky on Yelp because it sets up an improper expectations most time. Unless you're able to actually answer all the time, 24 hours, get on that call, it's not worthwhile. And again, even if you have an answering service late at night, if you're a plumber, if you can't actually come out there at 2:00 in the morning, don't shoot yourself in the foot. You're doing yourself a disservice. But if you can, great. Promote the heck out of it. It looks like John says that they do. They're available 7 days a week for emergencies. So awesome. But the thing you have to be careful of is, as you notice here, there's no special hour. So one of the beautiful things that Yelp did many, many years ago is they started getting reports from a lot of businesses that would close during the middle of the day, have weird closures, or be closed for special hours, holidays, stuff like that. They were tired of going in every time and editing this. Yelp now has a special hours tab where you can go in. It doesn't mess with your open 24 hours at all. I actually just helped a handyman with this earlier today of ours. And we went through all their holiday hours and we were like, oh, Christmas Day, you're going to be closed. Yeah, I'm going to be closed. I'm spending Christmas. Perfect. Let's mark you as closed. And how it will display on Yelp, it'll let people know, hey, normally this business would be open 24 hours, but today on Christmas, they're actually closed. Or you could do open as usual. Or, for example, for Christmas Eve, he doesn't want to be 24 hours. He wants to get done at a reasonable time. So for Christmas Eve, it's going to say, hey, this business has special hours on Christmas Eve. They're open from midnight to 6 p.m. tonight. So at 6 o'clock, if somebody comes on and they're looking for him, it's going to say, hey, sorry, this business is now closed on Christmas Eve. And he didn't have to mess with his 24 hours. It sets proper expectations in case anybody calls. They're not getting upset. Hey, why can't I reach anybody? Why is nobody coming out to me? Because at the end of the day, we all take breaks. Businesses do shut down, especially on holiday stuff like that, or at least have special hours so their techs can be with family, so the business owner can be with family, all that sort of stuff. So very important you fill that out. So looks like they have a nice good from the business section. This is actually really good. They're not just listing off services. You notice how they're talking about why homeowners choose RedCap. This is actually a very well filled out specialty section. So kudos to you guys, John. That is well done. History, very important. Now, real quick, before we jump to history, specialties, the reason why it's so important, Yelp pulls a lot of information, not just from your reviews when promoting you, but from what you say you do yourself. This specialty section is your chance to tell Yelp, to tell users exactly how you can help them out. So again, great job by John. They talk not just about how they can help them, but why people choose to use RedCap in the Tampa Bay area. History, another important part, not as much for, Yelp, but for the users that find you. There's a lot of legitimacy. If you've been open for over 20 years, heck, if you've been open for over 10 years, let's be real. It's hard to keep a business open for 5 years. So when you've been open 10 plus years, even if you don't necessarily have the best reviews on Yelp, Yelp users understand that there's a reason why you are still in business, why people are still going to you, and they're going to look for that why in the reviews. And if that fits what they're looking for, awesome. But yeah, so good history here, talking about how they've been open, why they chose to do this. And then this is another one that gets left out a lot, the meet the business owner. A lot of business owners are a little hesitant to fill this out. You can't have a manager fill it out, but really, this is a local business directory. People who are searching here are local. They want that connection. They're coming to Yelp for that connection, like we talked about matchmaking before. So when they find you, they want to see, hey, do I resonate with this person? Why he's doing this? So, especially tradesmen, if it's because that, you were at a place that didn't treat their customers well and you knew you could do a better job for your clients, to being passionate about sewing and selling clothing, whatever it may be. This is really where you get to tell your story of why you opened this business. And that really goes a lot more of a long way than people realize at the end of the day. So they don't have any community questions asked. So they haven't, no need to respond there. If you ever get any, very important that you do respond to those. And then the only other thing that I'm noticing about RedCap is that they don't actually have their messaging active right now. So for those that are in the home service industry, messaging is a big way for businesses to get a lot of clientele off of Yelp, as most people are on their mobile devices these days. They are looking a lot of times for these quick, texts. It is 2025 now. People, want messages before they call and stuff like that. So if you're removing that, would simply want to chat with them more about what results they were getting, how they're handling the actual response time and response quality to those, because that is a missing source of revenue for a business like RedCap, where people aren't necessarily looking at the reviews, but hey, who can help me out quick? Your 24 hours, your emergency, you are right up that alley, So that's merely where I would recommend a few changes to really make this page better. And I'm confident if, RedCap were to do that, they would see instantaneous better results within that first week, just because they're providing a better quality product on the view side for Yelp to people. Obviously, there would be changes on the back end we'd want to talk with them about, but that would be for future discussion ultimately. All right, I hope that was useful for everybody. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. For any of the business owners that are really ready to boost their Yelp campaigns, make more money off of it, maybe frustrated because you feel like you have been trying or think you can get more, give us a call. This is what we're here for. This is where we come in and really are able to help out our clients. And there's a reason why we don't lock you in with any monthly contracts or terms and things like that, because we know we're able to deliver. And just to let you know, when you do join a Yelp advertising partner like us, you actually get access to special things that aren't available to self-service advertisers, things like advanced keyword and spend reports. That way you can see where every dollar is going, where it should be. We get precision targeting techniques like I was talking about before. We can add UTM tracking codes. We have special call tracking partners that we're able to implement. These really make sure that we're getting you, leads that are quantifying. And then we know how to tweak the levers on keyword and location targeting to get you that lower cost per click and whatnot. Plus, we have dedicated support. So no more of that Yelp rep shuffle. We hear that all the time, that people are always upset that they're having a new rep every 3 to 6 months. You get one of us here, so you're always having a dedicated rep here at Yelp, and then you always have access to us as well in case you need additional assistance. Plus discounts and partner promotions. And lastly, the big thing when you're trying to run a business, hands-off management. We're optimizing the profile. We're checking in with meetings every 1 to 2 weeks with you. So you're always in the loop as what's going on, what you're seeing, and, what changes are being made so you can keep running your business the way you need to and not worry about it. So yeah, if you're ready to help that work for you, give us a call today. All right. And last but not least, if there are any additional questions that anybody has, because we did run out of time today, or you're looking for your own free Yelp audit, yes, we are doing these for free for businesses. Just give us a call, contact us. You can find our contact info at youngcowmedia.com or email me directly, trevor@youngcowmedia.com. Anyways, thank you again, everybody, for checking out this webinar today. Hope that was all very useful for you. Feel free to comment in the video if you have any questions, and you take care.